Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'd like to welcome everybody to our special Black Friday Matters webinar that we're doing. This is exclusively for our customers. We really appreciate you guys and gals being here. And we thought this would be kind of an interesting thing to do, kind of fun, because certainly, if there's any real magic thing to the market, what I'm going to show you is it. I mean, if there's any super duper secret of making money, this has got to be it. I mean, it's happens so much all the time. Let's just make certain that you can hear me, though. I saw that Case, you had a question about sound. I hope you can hear me now. And if you have any, good. Okay, thanks very much. If you have questions, of course, as we go along, feel free to type in your questions. I usually can get to all of them. I can't promise that, but I will do my best to get to your questions for you. So obviously, Black Friday, what's it about? Well, it's about what happens at Thanksgiving. And what happens at Thanksgiving happens in so many markets. I'd like to show that to you. Before I do, though, I've got to do the standard government. Even with Donald Trump, we have to give these disclaimers. That maybe we should put this on a tweeter, Louise, and tweet it out to everybody instead. But you know the thing that past performance doesn't mean future success, and it's risky doing what we do. Hypothetical simulated performance, all that stuff. If you haven't read these disclaimers, you probably haven't traded because they're on everything, every place all over the world. But just to make certain you're aware that there is risk involved. And see how much risk is involved? We have to continue to showing this stuff before we can publish it.
What's risky?
Okay, a little bit of housekeeping. I've been fighting a cold the last almost 15 days now, so I may be stopping and coughing or getting a glass of water, so I apologize for that. We don't have a cough button on our microphone. If you do have audio troubles during the presentation, go to Webinars Audio Wizard. If that doesn't help, leave and join back in seems to be the next best thing to do. We are recording this. I see some of you are as well, but we're recording it. We will post it in our LW University site, and then Louise will, bless her heart, email it to you when it is ready. She'll email not the recording, but we'll email it to you the link. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions. Cryptocurrency. I don't have a clue about cryptocurrency, guys and gals. I mean, it's way over my head. To me, it's a scam. No way governments are going to let this happen. But oh my gosh, what a rally in the market! I'm just staying away from it. This is what's going to happen this coming Friday. People are going to go crazy buying stuff all over the world, especially in America. And this is a huge marketing event. Does it have any impact on stocks and commodities? Well, Art Merrill wrote about this. Art was a friend of mine in the early 60s. And he said that the days preceding a holiday, Art was talking about all holidays, is usually a good day. The market has risen 2/3 of the time. It would be exceeded by chance only once in several thousand repetitions in the 69 years history. So this is the big secret, if you will, or one of the market. Markets rally about holiday times. Those of you who follow me every week on Larry TV have seen this, and we've used these holiday trades throughout the year, and we'll continue to do that. Another friend of mine, Artie Zweig, unfortunately both these gentlemen have passed away, did a very interesting thing on study. Marty was a PhD, math guy, brilliant guy, probably read all this stuff. What he found about the holidays was anything but normal. Price trends near holidays are extraordinarily bullish, shattering the myth that stock price movements are random. That's the big thing. People say we can't make money trading. Prices are random. Marty said no. It's nearly certain that these patterns are attributable, and this is the critical thing here, to the emotionalism of investors. Now that's really why these holiday trades work, and if you wonder which holiday is the most emotional, well, now you know. This is an incredibly emotional holiday. So is Christmas, so is the 4th of July, but not to the emotions that we see. Now, what I think happens, and my contribution to this, is I found this similar bullishness occurs to individual stocks, bonds, as well as gold. So I'll be looking at these markets in a moment as well. The general observation is that prices are bullish leading up to holidays in most major commodities that are traded in the U.S., and usually, not always of course, but usually bearish after the holidays. So I took the work that Marty and Art did, which was strictly on the stock market, nothing else. I looked at it, as you're going to see on individual stocks, and whoa, hold on to your popcorn bag here, ladies and gentlemen. It's amazing what you're going to see. And also on individual commodities, where again we find some really strong biases that as traders we can take advantage of. Yes, Jeff, there will be a replay, and we'll send out a link for you on that. So first of all, let's start with the stock market. This is the 90-year seasonal of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and you can see where Thanksgiving Day is, the big arrow on your chart. Well, look what usually happens. Boom. And also shortly before Christmas, so maybe we'll do one of these webinars at Christmas. I don't know. We'll have to see. But clearly, in the last really 100 years of trading, there's been a strong, almost straight-up move right at Thanksgiving. So strong that it is very tradable. Is there anything fundamental driving precious metal down? I don't know, Brian. I've been working on the webinar, so and specific comments about markets. There's only one that I'm going to make a specific comment on about what happened today. So here was some data that I presented in 2014, buying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 days before Thanksgiving. Look at the results. In the last 17 years, buying 1 day before had been correct 100% of the time, 17 out of 17 years. Buying 2 days before, also 17 years, 17 winning trades. That's a really powerful, 17 years of a seasonal holding up is incredible. In the above table, a cluster of 100% correct trades buying 1 and 2 days before the holiday. It's impressive. It looks like the rally starts about 3 days out, then really builds up ahead of steam. Why does this happen so consistently? It might well be the shopping frenzy the nation whirls into, and usually bullish stories about Christmas sales. And I think this is the emotional thing Marty Zweig was writing about. The emotional thing is investors are going, oh, wow, yeah, everybody's at Best Buy today, or they're at wherever they are. Those stocks are probably going to rally. And guess what? Those stocks watched this week are the stocks people are talking about, the talking heads on television. And the sheep will go on out and buy those stocks and run them up in the marketplace. That's what happens. Now, I've updated from 2017, so we've added a few more years. We've added 2 more years to the chart that you just saw the tabulation. Look at this. Now, in the last 19 years, 2015 and 16, in the last 19 years, buying 1 or 2 days before Thanksgiving has been profitable. Buying 8 days has also been profitable 19 out of the last 20 years. And I'm using a stop here of $2,300, exiting after being in the trade 1 day. So I'll emphasize that again. The exit to these trades I will talk about. I've tried to optimize some of them for you to give you the very best. But usually I'm going to hold on to this trade for a day or two. But as a trader, I think what we should be doing is trying to have stops underneath the market, selling at some targets, using our own innate abilities as traders to exit the trade. So I'll be using a stop loss or just automatic getting out in the first profitable opening after X days in the trade. So that's the really incredibly strong bias, which means the Christmas or the Thanksgiving holiday is on Thursday. So you could buy on Wednesday or you could buy on Tuesday. Buying Tuesday would be 2 days before the holiday. Buying on Wednesday would be 1 day before the holiday. Do you have any books related to this webinar approach? How to test these programs and these analysis? No, I've stopped writing books a long time ago, so all that we have are the webinars. What are we buying here? We're buying the S&P 500. Good question. Thanks, Deborah. Are there option plays in this? I am certain there are option plays in everything I'm going to show you today, but I'm not a real option guy, so I don't know exactly how to do that. I don't know if I'd be writing the option, buying the option, but those of you who are options, well, my gosh, you're going to see the setup trades. Now, what about after the holiday? Neither Art nor Marty looked at buying after the holiday, and I have, and it continues to be most impressive. If you buy 1 day, the E-minis, 1 day after Thanksgiving, in the last 19 years, 18 times those trades have been successful. Buying 6 days, that starts kind of when the Christmas rally kicks off. 6 days after Thanksgiving in the last 19 years has been successful 19 times. So really strong sweet spots in here, the day after Thanksgiving and buying 6 days after Thanksgiving. And sell when? I think we went over when we're going to sell. We're going to exit on the first profitable opening after being in the trade a couple of days. What about NQF? I think you mean the NASDAQ. I don't trade that. I like the bigger volume markets, but I'm certain you're going to find the same tendency as there. Is day 6 the first day of the next month? It would depend on the month of November because of the holidays and weekends and all that stuff. But the 6th day after trading, after Thanksgiving, could be in December. Market will be closed on Thursday, so we would buy on Wednesday night. And we're going to exit, of course, either a couple of days. Use your sense and judgment on that. Don't just go off what the computer does automatically. I have to force the computer to an exit. The exit is the first profitable opening after being in the trade a day or so. Okay, here's the season in the bond market. The bond market's right at Thanksgiving also rallied, but not a lot. They started a little bit of a rally, but historically not a whole lot. Actually, buying bonds 7 days before the Thanksgiving holiday has been the most successful in the last 15 years. 14 times that has been a successful trade. I believe it was successful again this year as well. So that would be actually now 15 out of 16 trades in the bond market. These are trading days, not calendar days. I don't reference calendar days. I'm only talking about actual trading days prior to the holiday. I hope that answers those questions for you. And this is buying before in the bond market. One moment ago, as you'll see when we do the replay, we looked at the S&P buying days before and buying days after. I hope that helps you. Your entries is buying on the opening. That's all that it is. Brent, you could probably buy in limits or breakouts, or I can't teach the computer how to do what we can do as individuals. I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later as well. But this is just an automatic buy in the open. Don't try to do exactly what the computer is doing. This is mechanical. What we have here really has a huge advantage of when to look for trades in the marketplace. If you buy bonds 2 days before Thanksgiving, and I'm going to use a stop here. I wanted to test the stops from $1,000 all the way to $2,000. The best stop actually comes out at about $1,000. In 13 of the last 15 years, you were successful buying 2 days before Thanksgiving, and the stop can be somewhere in that $1,000 to $1,100 stop. So that's pretty close to the market. Can so many days before still be attributed to an influence by the holiday? Well, all of this is arguable, I'm certain. But yes, that emotional binge starts clearly around the day before the holiday and the day after the holiday. So if you buy a little bit early, you're getting the tail end of that kick into your trade, as I see it. How about afterwards? Because remember when we looked at bonds, after the holiday, prices start to go down or go sideways. So I looked at bonds selling the days after the holiday, and selling 4 days after Thanksgiving is going to be accurate in the last 15 years 12 times, 80% of the time. So there's a nice little short-term move to the downside that usually takes place here. In this case, if I were taking the trade, I'm not saying I will, but if I was, I would be selling on the opening of the night session of the day that would start the 4th day after the holiday. So I'm using the night session openings and all of the data. So I hope that's clear to you. Well, gold has a really interesting seasonal here as well. Gold tends to come down into the holiday, rally up, and then comes down sharply. This is the typical gold seasonal. So can we take advantage of that in the holidays? In some holidays, gold is very strong, notably the 4th of July holiday. But if we buy gold 4 days prior to the holiday in the last 15 years, that trade has been successful 12 times. Buying 3 days before the holiday has been correct 13 out of 15 times. So there is a short-term trading opportunity there. The night session opens at 6 p.m. for me. That's Eastern Standard Time. Well, actually 7 p.m. because here in the beautiful Virgin Islands, where we're recuperating from 2 hurricanes, the markets open at 7 p.m. We're actually 1 hour ahead of New York City. But Eastern Standard Time would be 6 p.m. Well, you saw that move that gold usually goes down after the holiday day. So if you sell 1 day after the holiday, that's been correct 75% of the time. If you go out a little bit more, 13, 14 days after the holiday, in the last 12 years, 11 of those have been successful 91% of the time. So you gold traders are going to want to look for, here's a holiday, and here's where we really tend to get the weakness. It would be around the 11th of December, somewhere in that area. What software for analysis do you use? Well, there's a lot of great software out there. I am using TradeStation in my presentation today. Sugar. I started thinking about, well, Christmas, what does everybody do at Christmas? Cook. What do they cook? Cakes, cookies, candy. I'll bet there's an influence in sugar prices, and sure enough, prior to the holidays, sugar prices usually go up. But after everybody's bought their sugar, sugar goes down. Interestingly enough, if you buy sugar 8 days before the Thanksgiving holiday, I've got a lot of data here. In the last 47 years, that's been correct 43% of the time, 91% accuracy in the trade. You notice sugar had a nice little up move starting a few days ago as well. So here's another really strong trade that I think you want to make notes on. Some of these will be actuated this year, and some you'll be able to use, of course, next year. These numbers are just Henry, just for Thanksgiving. I'm going to show one Christmas trade, I think, but these are just based off the Thanksgiving holiday, because this is the one where everybody goes out and buys stuff. And then the business guys start talking about the stocks of the companies where people bought the stuff. The days after the holiday, notice that we sell one day after the holiday. We are correct in the last 49 years. This is buying one day after the holiday. This is selling one day after the holiday. In the last 49 years, this trade has been correct 46% of the time. That's an amazing set of numbers for this market. Day one after the holiday, also pretty good. So again, the holding time period I'm not getting out at the X of just X number of days. We're going to hold until we get the first profitable opening, or we are stopped out of the trade. Well, how much heat do you have to take? Well, in terms of stops, you can see you were stopped out. We're using a $1,200 stop here. So you were stopped out, 3 times in the last 49 years. For some people, that stop is too large. All we're trying to do is find a bias in the marketplace so we as traders can take advantage of that. As I mentioned, John, I don't expect you to take these trades out of the book by the numbers. What we found here is a really strong bias in the marketplace that we can take advantage of as traders. That's the point of doing this. Crude oil seasonal. Well, crude oil tends to go down at the holiday time. Interestingly enough, it's been rallying this year, but if we sell 12 days before the holiday in the last 15 years, it's been correct 46% of the time. So not a particularly high accuracy trade, kind of a back and forth trade. The dollar index, I know a lot of us are following that market right now. It shows some pretty interesting pattern here. In the last 31 years, we have a lot of data on this. 28 times it's rallied 90% of the time. 5 days before the holiday has been the buy point in the dollar index. Apparently the dollar gets a little strong right around Thanksgiving, and so there's a really strong trade in there. Can we get a copy? Yes, you will be getting a copy of the presentation slides. Currently bullish on crude oil. I had some nice profits in them. I'm on the sidelines now, and they'll call 911. Well, I'm okay, Larry. I'll come back. I'm just coughing. That's good. Shouldn't a strong dollar kill the gold trade? Well, the gold trade's not all that strong to begin with, is it? And sometimes, I don't know, Barry, the relationship of gold and the dollar, sometimes I've seen them rally together, decline together, or go separate directions. Walmart. This is such a premium trade. Oh my gosh, when I stumbled onto this a few years back, I thought, this is it. And this is the Walmart in China. I've actually been to this Walmart, the world's largest retailer. So guess what? Do you think their prices influence at Thanksgiving? Oh yeah. This is a November pattern in Walmart. It actually starts a little bit earlier and rallies up, and then just right before Christmas it starts to rally again. When is your holiday starting? I don't know what you mean by that, Mark. The holiday will be Thursday, will not be a trading session. So the day that's not the trading session is the day that we count as the holiday. So here's Walmart. We're going to test buying days before the holiday. In the last 39 years, had you bought 3 days prior to the Thanksgiving holiday, you were successful 39 times in a row. says William Sonoma, no, Walmart, WMT. So 3 and 4 days prior to the holiday, also 8 and 9 days prior to the holiday, since we just had one of these now, in the last 40 years now, that trade has been successful. I mean, what a phenomenal string of numbers here to see this huge bias in Walmart. So you could do your option trades, you could be a short-term buyer, you could buy weakness, I mean, whatever your entry techniques are. Again, all that we're doing here is showing when these biases are, so we as traders can take advantage of them. Look at all these questions I'm getting here, and everybody's like, well, do I have to do what day? There's no magic to the day or the time you get into it. What we have here is a slow pitch softball coming to us. We want to figure out how to hit the ball. Holiday, I'm going to answer this just one more time. The Thanksgiving holiday is this Thursday. That's a non-trading day. So if you were to buy 1 day prior, you would be buying the Wednesday opening, which is going to be on Tuesday night. Got it? Walmart's currently in an uptrend. I don't know if the uptrend will continue or not. All I know is that historically at this time of the year, Walmart has been a very successful short-term trade. If you buy Walmart 3 days before, it's kind of hard. What stop point do we use? Because the price is lower now than it used to be. So exactly where our best stop point is, I don't know. So I tested stop of 1 through 9 points, and really the best stop is maybe somewhere in the area of 5 points in this market. You get the same 97% accuracy. You're not holding as long, which is why you pick up more with that stop. Okay, questions. Isn't there a contradiction? There's so many contradictions in the markets guides, you bet there are. Are these primarily seasonal? Well, yeah, Roland, they're seasonal, but it's influenced by what happens at this time of the year, this season. You're going to see Amazon in a little bit. Walmart days left in the month, that's LIM, left in the month, is another way of looking at this, because we know Thanksgiving is around the end of the month. So I tested that way as well. Those of you who follow my Larry TV know we look at days left in the month occasionally. And 6 days left in the month has really been the strong point in Walmart. In the last 39 years, that's been correct 39 times. Even 7 days prior, 100% of the time. So you can see this incredible strength in Walmart shortly around the Thanksgiving time period. You've read I Hate to Day Trade. Well, you know, I'm 75 years old. I don't need another trade. I need another big winning trade. Day trading is spinning your wheels. It's a waste of time. And this is not day trading. We're going to try to get a trade in there last 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 days. Sometimes we can get a market and have a real strong move and just keep following up with our trailing stocks on it. Well, Mark, I'm glad to see you join us. Sorry it took so long to get in. Why is it a waste of time? Because most people lose a whole lot of money day trading, John. It's a loser's game. The brokers love it because it's a lot of commission, but show me a day trader that has consistently made a whole lot of money. I'd like to meet one. Okay, how about Walmart after the holiday? So again, we're looking at around that end of the month trade. We looked at days left in the month, and 6 days after the holiday, 100% of the time. 9 days after the holiday, 100% of the time. 15 days, that's the Christmas rally, right? 100% of the time. So what a wonderful opportunity you have here for a bias in the marketplace. And it's our job as a trader to find these biases and then work that bias with our trading skills that we have. Well, John Carter says he's a successful day trader. Great. I mean, I'd love to see his actual track record, his actual managed accounts, or his personal account. If he does, God bless him. I just think that that's not where the big money is, and maybe it's my temperament. You all have to do what you want to do. I don't want to look at my screen all day long to make a couple $1,000s trading. I would much prefer to buy, as I did today, 25 or 30, whatever it was, dollar index, and I'm probably going to get out in a couple of days, and I might, it's an easy trade. I may be stopped out, but if I get out, I'm going to make $25,000, $30,000. I would prefer to trade that way. You have to find the shoe that fits you, okay? Yeah, Kent, thank you. I'm just reading your questions here. Do I still expect the stock market to sell off? Nah, no. I don't think we're going to get a major sell-off. I think I was absolutely dead wrong on my forecast. Oh, now John Carter's primarily a swing trader. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me a bit. Okay, hey, if there's Walmart What kicks off Thanksgiving? It's the Macy's parade. Gosh, could this work for Macy's? You've never known this before. Macy's, X day before Christmas, before Thanksgiving. 2 days before Christmas. In the last 24 years, 100% of the time it's been correct. What do you think? Is there a trading opportunity there? It's 2, 3, 4 days before Christmas. In the last 24 years, Macy's has rallied. I mean, guys and gals, this is a wonderful opportunity for us to try to figure out how to make some money from a bias in the marketplace. What is the longest we hold a futures trade for? John, I've held some for 6 months. I forgot it was in my account. I'm usually holding on to a trade for maybe 4 to 12 days, something like that. Oh, Macy's is up 2.5% today. Thanks, Mary Ellen. Hey, no surprise to us, is it? Now that you know what happens with Macy's. So I tested for stops. Again, it's a little bit difficult because the price of these markets vary so much, but the optimal stop is about 5 points. But really at a 3-point stop, you make the same amount of money and you still have the same 100% accuracy. TradeStation puts this gray bar for some reason on what they think is the best, but really about a 3-point stop, 3 to 4 point stop in Macy's. In the last 24 years, the market never went 3 points against you before you were able to take your profit on that trade. No, this is a Thanksgiving trade, John. We're buying before the Thanksgiving holiday for Macy's. Macy's is the very best trade if you had to follow by the numbers that Larry gave in his webinar, right? You would buy Macy's 3 days before, you would exit on 2 days and use a 5-point stop. And that creates, here's 2 days and here's 3 days before. In the last 24 years, 100% of the time, those trades have been successful. What time of the day do you make your trade? Steve, for my own trading, I might get filled. I just place my stop orders and go to bed. I woke up this morning, I was filled in some positions. I might be getting filled right now. I don't watch the markets. I place my buy orders, my stop orders, and pretty much walk away for it. Oh, there's the equity curve. If you're interested in equity curve, that's certainly one of the nicest equity curves. You'll see 24 years. Walmart, what was Walmart? 39 years. Oh my gosh. Oh, Target, the world's second largest retailer. And guess what? What we find again, here it is. There's the seasonal in Target, right at Thanksgiving time, Target rallies. It says audio not connected. Mark, well, you can't hear me, but go out and come back in. Target, best is 3 days before, like Macy's, like Walmart. 2-day exit and a 4-point stop. In the last 47 years, that's been successful 47 times. Phenomenal trade. Buying 1, 2, or 3 days before the holiday have all been successful, but the real sweet spot is 2 and 3 days before the holiday. Mark Louise isn't here right now, so I can't help you, but you'll get to watch the replay. Target, how about days after the holiday? It's still pretty strong in Target after the days, and the optimal trade here is 4 days after the holiday. We'll exit after being in the trade 2 days and use a 4-point stop. In the last 47 years, 47 times the trade has been successful. And what we're seeing here really is what we saw in this chart. If you're buying in this time period, Target has a very strong pattern. Call it a seasonal pattern. Call it a Thanksgiving, Black Friday's matter pattern of this stock rallying time after time after time. Tom, I'm not talking about other markets today. I'm long the dollar index. That's all I can tell you. Don't most stocks rally into major holidays? Yes and no. I have tested a lot of stocks and some don't rally. So what I'm presenting to you is the ones that work for the Thanksgiving holiday. Costco, what a star. I love this place. Guess what? It also has the same, almost looks like Target, doesn't it? I say 4 points, I'm saying $4 stop. So there's the seasonal in Costco. And if we buy Costco, I'm testing here days before the holiday, 6 in the last 31 years. That's been successful. Buying 5 days before the holiday has been successful 29 out of the last 29 times. Again, we see a really strong influence here of this trade being successful. So clearly you want to be looking for buy signals in all these retail stocks. The best is to buy 3 days before. And then I tested how many days could you hold Costco for. The most money, of course, the longer you hold, the more money you'll usually make, which is why day trading doesn't work so well. I'll get back to that for a moment. I know this is preaching to the choir. So many of you have heard this so much, but obviously some of you haven't. Here is the day trader's dilemma. Trend is the basis of all profits. No trend, no profits. We all agree with that, day trader or long-term trader, right? Trend is the basis of all profits. Trend is a function of time. The more time you have, the more trend you can get. Day traders are limited to a few hours to capture trend. I'm limited to innumerable hours to capture trend. So the longer you can be in a trade, the more potential for trend you have. My preference in the Costco trade, though, is probably around 3-4 days. Notice at 2 days you make the same amount of money as you do at 4 days holding the trade. So what this means to us is that when we buy this stop, then I can look for a trailing stop or watch the market on it. I'm not going to watch on an intraday basis, but I will stop the lowest low the last day or the last 2 days, try to capture a big move in this market if I possibly can. When I buy, for example, 5 days before and close or open, we're buying in all these tests we've been buying on the opening of that market. Costco buying 3 days with a 5-point stop, and I'm testing the bars before holiday 3 days before. Gives you the same accuracy, and you're out a lot sooner. So I'm going to test. Oh, this is using a stop of 5 points. So the stop is 5 points. You make 18 points. You're 96% correct. TradeStation goes for the largest amount of dollars, which is made down here, but your accuracy is not as good. Notice the highest accuracy achieved any place was 96%. We can achieve that same accuracy quicker by being in the trade for just fewer days. Yeah, Dennis, that's a great, one of the really great quotations I ever came up with in my life, I think, is that one. I got another one coming up today I like. So Costco, 3 days before, stop loss. I tested various stop loss, how many points. The best stop loss is about 8 points. That might be a little large for somebody, but depends on the price of Costco too. But somewhere in that 3-point area, you make almost the same amount of money with a 3-point stop as you do with a 5-point stop. And your accuracy is still really good. Again, the big thing is we're just looking for a bias. And now we use the art of trading to enter these trades. Another question about the dollar index. I just mentioned earlier I long the dollar index. I'm short-term trading. I'm looking for this market to rally here. The 1 day, again, we're looking at Costco here. Buying 1 day after the holiday has also been successful. I'm testing how many days to hold here. So Costco after the holiday is also seen, as we have seen with some of these other trades. You can buy these markets after the holiday. You can buy them before the holiday. These tend to be really strong. Oh, a lot of questions have come in here. Would diversifying by placing all these trades reduce the downside? They're going to all, I think, Joel, go up or down together. Do you run these percentage steps for rallying dollars up? I don't test percentage steps in TradeStation. I don't have the ability to do that, so I just use dollar stops. Okay, $1 hold, X point stops. Well, the stop, we can get a 90% accuracy with the $4 or $5 stop here, so I'm happy with that. If you want to use an 11-point stop, that's a big stop in Costco. Well, you're made money 24 of the last 24 years, but you're going to hold some of those trades a long, long time. I'm going to get back to these trades in a moment. I have a lot more to show you. But I want to talk a little bit. I read a book, I have reading a book called Grit. I learned a lot about that book. One of the things impressed me is Tom Seaver. Those who don't know him, was a Hall of Fame baseball player, one of the best ever. He was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame with the highest percentage of votes ever recorded up to that time. 98.8% of the people said, yeah, this guy on the first ballot should go in the Hall of Fame. And reading about him was interesting. He said, and you could just substitute the word trading or whatever your passion is in life. Pitching is what makes me happy, so I only do things that make me happy. It determines how I spend my life. If that means in the winter I eat cottage cheese, not cookies, I eat cottage cheese. So he was always into being the best he could be. Whatever he could subtract out of his life that didn't add to his pitching abilities, he subtracted out of his life. Well, here's some other famous people. Michael Phelps, the swimmer, Van Cliburn, the pianist, Andrea Bocelli, the singer. What do these guys have in common? Do you know how you get to Carnegie Hall? We were there a week ago, walked right by it. Only one way, practice. All the greats train every day in the ring. Muhammad Ali did, every fighter does. They go to pitching camp, their pitcher. They have team practice. There's college teams are having a practice tonight throughout the world. Wherever somebody has a team, they're practicing. Lawyers, you use mock juries as your practice. Golf guys, you go to the driving range. You go to the putting range. You swim or play the piano hours every day. Michael Phelps would swim 6 to 8 hours every day. Want results? You want results as a trader? I think this is a huge part of it. Extremely good results require extreme effort. Enrico, thanks for that. I play the piano 5 hours a day, and it's because you're passionate and because it makes you greater. And Enrico, I still listen to your music when I drive my car. So we probably don't practice enough, or we don't know how to practice, or we avoid it. And practice is really paper trading, going back and looking at what you're doing. So if you'd like to join me in the pursuit of excellence, I have begun paper trading 1 hour every day for the rest of this year. I started about 8 days ago. I've done my first half-hour session today. Some days I do 60 minutes straight. Some days I break it up to 30-minute segments. But you might want to make that something that you do if you believe you want to become better at trading, you want to pursue excellence at this. I know I trade a lot better than most of you, and I don't mean that in an egotistical way. And I've always wondered why. It's certainly not because I have any natural innate ability at it. I find why. I spend a lot more time at this than you guys and gals do. I'm going to spend a huge amount of time at it. It's just I'm there more. I look at it more. I'm at the driving range more, so to speak. I'm in the ring more. I'm practicing more. And if there's any reason why I've been successful in this, I think that's what it is. And that does create focus, of course. It creates practice. To me, mastery is a function of repetition. I love that. Mastery is a function of repetition, and extremely good results require extreme effort. So how do you paper trade when not day trading? Well, I don't day trade, first of all. I'm just going to hide price on my chart so I can't see what price is doing. That's the first thing. I don't want to look at price. I look at the indicators I follow, and then I'll make a mark. I'll buy here based on the indicators. Buy here, sell here, whatever. I get out here based on the indicators. Then I look at price. I don't want to look at price because price is so deceptive. How do you calculate seasonal indicators? That geometric mean of price change? But more or less, yeah. And we're detailing price train. Oh, hey, let's go upscale for a moment. How about Tiffany? Huh? They're a big retailer. We've gone from the low end, Target, Costco, Walmart. It's the same old song. Look what happens at Thanksgiving. There's a seasonal pattern. Just before Thanksgiving, just before Christmas, all those rich people go to Tiffany's and buy stuff, and people start following the stocks at that time. Why is Wheeltrain not available in Trade Navigator anymore? Well, we sued Genesis and got a $2.5 million verdict from the jury, and they were using our stuff without my permission, etc., so they had to take it out. Okay, so here's Tiffany. Again, 3 days prior to the holiday. We're going to exit this trade after being in it, or these are a number of days prior to the holiday. With a 3-day exit, I'm going to use a 5-point stop. So if you buy Tiffany 3 days before the holiday, we're going to use a 3-day exit. In the last 29 years, 96% of the time, that's been a successful trade. Isn't that something? And again, look at the accuracy of this trade in Tiffany's. We see this, oh yeah, but how many of you ever even thought about buying the stock? Let alone realizing, yeah, there's a really strong, so this is a typical rally we see in the markets, but right at Thanksgiving. And what I like about this is that emotional reason that Marty Zweig wrote about. There's an emotional reason to be there. Here, I tested the stop. What would be the optimal stop to use in this market? You can test this stuff until you're blue in the face. Here's Tiffany's before Christmas. So here's one Christmas trade for you. We saw Tiffany tend to rally. In fact, what we know it is 2 days before the Christmas holiday in the last 29 years, we've seen a rally 28 times. So there's another trading opportunity there for you. What will prompt you to short the SPY, a lower short-term high in the market? Yeah, thank you. The valuation, one of our better tools. I'm glad you've found it of helpful. It's such an interesting idea too, Milan, that we can actually determine value in a commodity. Well, here's the new way to shop, right? People aren't shopping there, they're putting packages together. At Amazon, the smile says it all. So let's put a smile on traders' face. Let's take a look at Amazon. They're a pretty big retailer. Oh, gosh, look at that. Prices rally at Thanksgiving and prices rally at Christmas. Stands to reason, doesn't it? Because, trust me, Jim Cramer is going to be talking about Amazon. He won't be talking about Tiffany and probably Target and Costco and so all the other talking head people like, oh, their sales were whatever, right? Please, how do we get will val? It isn't in the trade station package. It's just for our students, or drop me a note. Since this year there's been no down move in indexes, does that make a big correction January 18th? I'm working on my forecast for 2018 now. I learned a lot this year, so I'm not going to go to any limbs yet. I don't have the answer yet. Larry, do you think there are seasonal in the stocks apart from holiday effect? Oh, clearly there are seasonal in stocks apart from holiday effects. The first one I did years ago was an IBM. IBM reports earnings. Their biggest earnings tend to occur in one time of the year. And I did this, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago for IBM, and that seasonal pattern has continued. Coca-Cola would be one. They sell more Coke in the summertime and the wintertime, right? So, yeah, there's lots of seasonal patterns like that because there's a reason. I want a reason for these to be there. Well, Bill, if you register for the seminar, we'll send you the link. We can't email out to everybody individually. Okay, so the optimal Amazon trade, here you go. We want to use a 12-point stop. I mean, this is a high-value stock, right? We're going to buy 3 days before the holiday. And again, we'll hold for 3 days. That's optimum. And the last 19 years, it's made 115 points. Notice 1, 2, 3 days before the holiday, they've all done really well. But the optimum one, 3 days prior to the holiday, you want to be a buyer of Amazon. And again, your stop point and your exit point, that's your judgment as a trader. What we see is, what we now know is that this is a great trading opportunity for Amazon. Also, notice that we have the same thing. Maybe we'll do one of these around Christmas time, Christmas holiday trade, because there are a couple of these stocks that are also very strong here at this time of the year. Somebody's mentioning coffee. Yeah, cocoa has a pretty good seasonal pattern. Obviously, there's more chocolate consumed in the holiday than any other time of the year. So there's another seasonal pattern based on consumption. Victoria's Secret. You know, I had another little PowerPoint brought up here, but Louise saw it. I knew you guys would be more interested, but she thought we better do this. So this is Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret, now those girls, right? Also own Bed Bath & Beyond, so they're huge retailers. And here it is. Victoria's Secret tends to rally at Thanksgiving, and then it comes down. Everybody's bought all the stuff, and then the prices come down. And so again, we come into a seasonal trade. Oh, I didn't do the numbers on this, but you see the trade is there, okay? So people ask, well, how are other ways I can trade it? Yeah. There's an ETF. XRT is the ETF for retail stocks. So buying, and we don't have a lot of years, only 11 years of this, buying the ETF for retail stocks. If we buy 10 days prior to Thanksgiving or 7 days prior to Thanksgiving or even 2 days prior to Thanksgiving, we make money. At 2 days prior to Thanksgiving, it's been 100% of the time correct. Again, showing the, I didn't do LL Bean. You know, I was thinking about that. You can probably do that yourself or just look at the seasonal pattern, but most all of these are retail stocks, the mail order online companies. In fact, you're going to see some of that in a little bit here. So if you're looking for a way to make this trade with the law of averages, if you will, then you go to the ETF, and the ETF symbol for that is XRT. The days to hold, well, probably want to hold it for somewhere in the area of 5 days. The profit starts at flatten out after being in the trade about 5 or 6 days. Are you interested in the short trade after the holiday? There's not a lot of shorts after the holidays. Victoria's Secret is, but I haven't worked a whole lot on that. The best stop to use an XRT is probably going to come at about 2 points. I tested from 1 to 4 points with a 1.5 point stop. You've been 10 years in a row successful. So somewhere in the, if you want to do the ETF, you'd use a 1.5 to 2 point stop. Oh, UPS. Now, I haven't done UPS. That would be interesting. You know, the more you get into this, the more your minds are thinking of things. Your minds are a lot sharper than mine at my age, for sure. I hadn't even thought of UPS. That's a good one. Yeah, it would be really interesting because they're delivering all the stuff, right? The one that I've always think is interesting since Amazon is so huge, who makes cardboard boxes for Amazon? I think that probably a seasonal pattern too, but that's got to be a great company because Amazon buys more cardboard boxes than anybody in the world. The best number of days to hold if you're buying the ETF XRT, it looks like 1 or 2 days. You're getting that high accuracy at first profitable opening or waiting 1 day and getting out at the first profitable opening. So here's a few others. Home Depot, massive retailer. Look what happens. Thanksgiving, boom. Apple has a little bit of a bounce in here, but the stronger seasonals at Christmas time. I don't know why. You can run the numbers. You could look at it, but you know they are a retailer. They have retail outlets, and again, we see the same thing we've been seeing. This is a thing. Oh, Visa and MasterCard. That's interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. So what I think what we're looking for is stocks that the talking heads will talk about, the Wall Street Journal will write about. I think those stocks, again, going way back to Marty Zweig, it's the emotionalism. So Tiffany's a pretty good trade, but they don't talk about Tiffany very much. They're going to talk about the big box stores. And I think those are the ones where we want to focus our attention. Cheesecake Factory. Well, when people go out and shopping, they go to eat at Cheesecake Factory. And Cheesecake Factory is in all the shopping centers, right? So guess what? We see the same thing. Cake at Christmas and at Thanksgiving. So there's another Christmas trade for you. Maybe we will do a Christmas season. We'll see if people like this one or not. WBT is Walgreens. Walgreens is a huge retailer, kind of mixed, but shortly after the 1st of December is when it starts its rally. I thought we'd see the same thing that we've been seeing in these others, but you know, they're a pharmacy, there are a lot of other things too, and a big retailer. It's not as clear cut there. What about Nike? I haven't looked at Nike. I mean, you guys can do that yourselves. BBY. Help me with what BBY stands for. Best Buy. Well, big retailer. They're in all the malls. Big box store, right? Whoa, look what happens at Thanksgiving. Yeah, Starbucks. Leah's got the same seasonal pattern. You know, once we opened up the gold mine to this Thanksgiving trade and stayed with retail merchandisers, Starbucks, Best Buy, Cheesecake Factory, Tiffany's, like, whoa, this is the gold mine in the marketplace. So this is where it is. And so many trades here, it's almost like, well, which one do I want to take? Maybe you use the ETF, or maybe you like one stock over another stock, or you look at comparative strength, decide which one of these you want to buy. Microsoft, they didn't test. It'd be an easy one to test. They just haven't done it because, again, I could be testing. I spent almost all day Sunday, half day Saturday and all day Sunday, putting this presentation together. You guys and gals don't realize what goes into doing this, not on my part, but Louise's part. So, you know, I ad infinitum. We could do a lot more testing. I'm sorry we can't get it all done. How can we calculate these seasonals? Well, it depends on the software that you have, I guess. eBay. Hey, how about that one? That's essentially an online retailer, right? They're not selling their stuff. They're selling your stuff, but they're making money off selling your stuff. So eBay, same thing, seasonal tendency. It's not so strong after Christmas, it looks like. That's interesting. The Christmas shopping starts on Thanksgiving, and then it goes on up. Oh, Michael, thank you very much. Sunoco is the cheapest for boxes. Thank you. I'll have to look. Sonoco is a company that makes boxes. I wasn't aware of that, so thank you. Um, there's another trade, and what I like about all these trades is it's so logical. I first tumbled into this with the Walmart trade 4, maybe 5 years ago now. Some of you have seen this trade before. Mark and some of you people, this is not new to you. And year after year after year, it continues to work. So we know that there's a reason this emotional shopping spree that happens around this time of the year. Well, I'm going to take some questions now. But of course, both Louise and I want to thank you for being here today and wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. And before the question gets asked, I am working on the 2018 forecast, trying to learn where I was right and where I was wrong in the 2017 forecast. I think I know, but stuff takes a lot of work, so I'm working on it. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them. Before you leave, repeat what you said about trend and saying the trend. Yeah, John, the basis of all profits is trend. No trend, no profits. Okay, you're not going to make any money unless the market's trend. Trend is a function of time. The more time you have, the more trend you can get. The day trader dilemma is they don't have any time, so they're limited to how much of a trend they can get. The real secret to the market is this. The secret to the market is this. You want to have a small position and capture a large move. With a small position, you can only lose a small amount of money. Day traders can only make a large amount of money with a large position. If you have a large position, you will have a large loss. So they're up against the fence on that. Yes, you'll be getting a link so you can rewatch the presentation for those of you who want to. I will tell Louise hi. Thank you very much. Oh, that's kind of you. Thank you. So Harry Dent is on to predicting 80% crash. Harry Dent has been predicting 80% crash 80% of the time for the last 80 years. There's no crash coming. We're in a bull market. My fundamental indicator that those who got my forecast report know, I said if we get a sell signal, we'll send out a bear market sell signal. Still no bear market sell signal. Connor, I'm sorry you missed it. Maybe different hours, but we will email out a link to you. Yeah, the hurricanes were tough on us. We just got power back Saturday. We were without power for 2 months. We lived on a generator. Had to get generator diesel fuel. Oh my gosh. Generator, you can't have it on 24 hours a day. It's a very different lifestyle. So we're back. We have power. So nice. It looks like, do you have any book related to this webinar? No, I don't have any books related. Well, maybe my book years ago, Sure Thing Commodity Trading, How Seasonal Factors Influence Commodity Prices, talks about that a little bit. Thank you for the kind words. We really appreciate that. Your father took my class in 1999. All right. Yeah, I'm in some families, second and third generation. I guess that's one of the great things about being old. Do you believe that COT can give a long-term sell signal? It depends on what market. Certainly not in the S&Ps. My son Jason was working on another book, The Cognitive Bias of Traders, but his practice is taking a little different direction here, so I don't think we're going to be getting, I have his research, but I don't think he's going to be publishing the book. He's taken a very interesting turn in his career. Cryptocurrencies, the CME is going to start to trade cryptocurrencies. It scares me to death. If the cryptocurrency thing is a scam, could it bankrupt the CME? I mean, we saw what happened with the Wassendorf thing. If they get a currency and people can't meet, there's no product there. There isn't like corn and gold or euro dollars. People, there's no real market for these things. I don't know, and I actually hope that they don't trade them, or that they trade them that in accounts where my account at the CME is not in the same fiduciary responsibility as the accounts where the cryptocurrency is traded. Any comments on natural gas? I was long, got stopped out today. Looking for a buy signal here again, looking to get back in, but I haven't looked at the markets yet. Once they close, I'll go look and see what I'm going to do. Hey, Zurich Caps, yeah, I have to reread that. I haven't read it for a year or so. Thank you. Robert, nice to hear from you. Go Ducks, huh? We had a good game this week. What about your old indicator Progo? Yeah, I still use Progo. It's a good measure of accumulation coming into the marketplace. It was one of those things I developed years and years ago. It still works. Risk management is the key to success. There's a couple of keys to success. I think one is clearly risk management. One is identifying the trend that fits your personality. I'm not a day trader. I used to do a little bit of that. Even then, I didn't enjoy it. You got to find the shoe that fits you. You have to have risk management, and you have to find setup opportunities. You have to wait. You have to be patient until these trades develop. And hopefully, what we've done today is show one of the times of the year when we can get some really nice setup trades in the marketplace. How do I keep my brain sharp? Well, this year it's very questionable. I try to stay healthy. My dad said it best, Larry, all things in moderation. My dad was just a working stiff guy, but I've always done things to extremes. I've tried every diet in the world, vegetarian for 11, 12 years, something like that, got bored with it. He said, Larry, you can do anything, just do it in moderation. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. Thank you, Jim. I was thinking today, as long as some people are still here, about the idea of you have to go to extremes to get extremely good results. As some of you know, I used to run marathons a few years back, and I was not very good. My first marathon was 5 hours of my time. Then it got down to 4 hours and 30 minutes. And a good buddy and I decided we wanted to run the Boston Marathon. But we had to drop our time an hour from 4 hours and 30 minutes to 3 hours and 30 minutes. So that's more than a minute per mile. We had to increase our pace. Well, we went to extremes to do that. And looking back, wow, if I would have spent that much time paper trading or reviewing my trades, I probably would be a really successful trader. So another good example. And we went to extremes to qualify for the Boston Marathon because neither of us were that good of runners. The practices we went to, the hours we did, and the track work and speed work and diet and everything, but we qualified to run the Boston Marathon. So another good example of that. Well, okay, I think we all have been here long enough. I'm starting to beat the horse to death here. Percent R is a great tool. Oh, yeah, I use Percent R every single day, and I use it in a couple of different varieties. Hey, Darlene, good to see you. Very happy you're going to have Christmas and New Year's before we will. But thank you very much. I'm so glad you're here. Are you planning to give a lecture? I don't know what I'm going to do. Shirley, thanks for being here. So nice to have so many people with us. My gosh. Diana, it's like family when I see all these names here. That's great. Joe, yeah, this is wonderful. Thank you so very much. Sam, how you doing? Haven't heard from you for a while. Well, again, just thank you all very much for being here. Like I said, you're all family to us. And we're going to wish you a great, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. And good luck and good trading.